Anyway, no, this is really fun, and I really appreciate you coming out.
This is stoked.
Welcoming Mr. Mark West to the Granada House podcast experience.
Thanks for being here, Mark.
Kyle's World.
That's right. AKA the Kyle's World podcast.
Yeah, the Kyle's World podcast.
Kyle's World.
Dude,
Okay.
we should get a song to that. I'm totally down with that.
Oh,
Well,
all right.
you
Late
can
night
lay down a
sessions.
guitar
Late
track
night
later
sessions. We
for
can
us,
do
Mark.
that.
Oh,
So you're pretty good.
And
you do not want me playing a guitar.
Kazoo, maybe?
Maybe I'll
All
go
right.
kazoo.
what I'm excited about here, it partially is that you don't really know what's happening.
I have no clue.
Not a freaking
You don't
clue.
know what we put in your coffee this morning,
Nothing.
or where you're going to be in a half an hour from now.
It definitely tasted spiked, but
The blindfold's coming in
I know.
about 30 minutes.
I had no idea that anybody else was going to be here. I thought I was going to be alone.
Well,
So
I'm just going to say that you were on the short list of
You didn't get
people
the
that we
questions?
wanted to get on the podcast, being that what
No one
we're
else
going
was there?
for here, what we're going for here,
Based on who was available, it was
you
a
tick
very
all the
short
boxes.
list.
You're a guy that cares about his community every single day. You're immersed in this community. It's not just the work you do, but it's I thought of you as well, just from a work-life balance thing. And
Man, you're bringing a
just
tear
from
to
what
my eye.
I've known of you in the last couple of years, I think that you do a pretty good job.
Aw.
We're going to talk
Can
a little
we
bit
hug
about
on the
that.
podcast?
I want you to. I want to build it up so the
we're
hug
down
is
for
like
it,
that
yeah.
much better
At the end?
At the
Like
end,
a full-on
yeah.
body embrace.
Sure, maybe a little, rub the back. Ooh, don't go too far.
Easy.
Stop.
Easy.
It's a podcast.
It's not a bro hug, though.
No.
It's not a mini bro hug.
Gotcha.
So I want to introduce Mark West, the executive director of North Park Main Street. And Mark, could you share just a little bit with us about your journey on becoming the executive director of North Park Main Street and
Sure.
what exactly that role entails?
I have been doing a lot of things throughout my life. I started off, I was in the Navy for 25 years, and during that time I was really active in trying to be a public servant to the community because I've always felt like I've always wanted to give back. And that started when my first house that I owned was here in North Park, and it was funny. I was telling one of my friends I actually bought this house, and the next day I left on a 6-month deployment, and this was when North Park was not cool.
Oh.
It was really rough. My wife was like, "Am I going to be safe?" I'm like, "Lock the doors." So
Keep the bars on the windows.
exactly. And we bought a little 600 foot love shack that we used to call it, and it was so awesome. And we kept that house for years, and even after we left, we always felt like it was kind of like our how we got started in so many ways. But that love for the community was really started there. I used to clean up the alley. It was like people would be like, "What is he doing?" So, after my career in the Navy ended in 2011, I was running Surf Rider, ran for public office, was elected, and was doing some government contracting at the side. And all those things were great. And I found that the council and all the things I was doing, which is the Airport Authority and Sandag and all those things, really, really helped feed my soul. And the government contracting, which was really lucrative, was not feeding my soul at all.
Yep.
So I decided at 52, and this is after I'd broken my neck too, so I really wanted to make sure that everything I did was going to have an ability to touch people and try to make people's lives better.
Yeah.
And I decided, I saw the job pop, and a friend of mine was running his name is Phil Blair. He was like, "Hey, you should look at this position. It might be something," because I was telling him, I'm like, I really want to give back to the community. And I just sold my house in IB, and I'd moved to kind of Point Loma, and I saw that, and I'm like, I really dig North Park. I dig what they're doing up there. I've always enjoyed that community. Let's look at it. So put my name in the hat. Luckily got selected, and it's been great. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy the people of North Park. Are some of the greatest. This community is like one of the greatest in all of San Diego. I mean, it really is. It's got diversity. It's got everything that I believe in, which makes communities better. The ability to walk around. It's got great restaurants, and I do like to eat, so it's kind of an important thing. I like to eat and drink, and both of those are ticked off here in North Park. So threw my hat in the ring, went through a selection process, got selected, and now it's been little bit, a year and a half, and it's really great. It's been I think we've made North Park Main Street has made we really are a maintenance-centric nonprofit, 501c6 that is really trying to get the community. And I've tried to really pivot. The pandemic was hard, so I kind of came in at the end of that, and we've done a lot to really try to bring that back. And I think we're doing a good job. I mean, in many ways, the things that are happening in North Park right now are even better than I've ever seen, and since when I was here in '98. So.
Agreed. Well, Mark, without getting too technical, could you explain the Special Enhancement District and the Business Improvement District? Because I think a lot of people out there don't understand exactly how Main Street
It took me a while to understand the difference between just like being on the board and then your position, executive director.
That's a great question. And so my funding is really set forth by two different funding streams that are set through by the city. Now, there is the Business Improvement District, which are the business taxes that all businesses inside a geographic area actually pay into, and that they pay a portion of that. A little bit of that from what they pay in their business improvement taxes comes back to North Park Main Street through funding, and that helps fund what we do in the Business Improvement District. Now, the Business Improvement District is a little bit bigger than the Special Enhancement District. The Special Enhancement District, different than the Business Improvement District, is actually done through property taxes, and the property taxes that they pay, a portion of that feeds back from the county to the city and then back to us. So
you have to have everything like nestled in nicely with all those contracts, like because it's going through the official sources.
It's it's a tracking process, and it is unfortunately we all know that all of us we deal with the city on so many different levels. It's not the fastest process in the world, so we really have to be essentially we're working for a month, and then we put in our receipts for that, and then they get refunded. So we're essentially always a month behind. Yeah. And sometimes it's even 2 months behind because it can the Nitnoid accounting can get run down.
Well, clearly it's not easy to operate, but you guys are carrying through with an awesome amount of momentum, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it goes without. I mean, a lot of people in this community, they have no idea you exist, unfortunately. And a big reason why our community is so clean and the businesses are able to get so much support that you provide goes for granted, unfortunately. But
we're trying. I mean, I think that's a great. I appreciate what you're saying.
It's about knowing what there's. I mean, how many people do you have now on your staff?
We are 11 people strong.
Yeah, so you're running the farmers market.
Yep.
You're running
the farmers market is a big part of our. We've really got. You see Kyle and Jason, who are some people who work for me. You see them all the time. But you got to remember that there's actually maintenance personnel that are supporting them as well. So it's really 4 to 6 people that are working on the farmers market in the day. We're one of the only bids inside the city that actually owns our farmers market and actually works it, which is great. Yeah. There's some things I'd like to. The farmers market, I would love to see more organic produce and more things like that. I think we tend to get away from what makes farmers markets special, and we kind of bring on a lot of things about food that are maybe not so farmers market-ish.
I've seen.
We're doing okay.
I think the identity's.
We're doing okay.
When I walk through, I know I'm in a farmer's market, and it's got all the
I would love to see. I'm kind of a foodie at heart. Yeah. So, I remember when we had Susie's Farms from down at TJ that was amazing. Yeah. They'd bring in stuff that you were just like, you hadn't even seen. So we'd love to. We're trying to bring that back. We've got some Staley Farms, people that we're working with. But
things evolve too. I mean, I have a friend who the North Park Farmers Market helped his hot sauce brand.
Oh, that's great.
Get out there, and I think he's still there, but it's an incubator too for a lot of the startups.
100% agree. There is so many organizations. I mean, things is farmers markets really are. I mean, think about Saigon Coffee here in North Park.
Right.
They started at farmers markets in Hillcrest.
That was the place to go.
Exactly. Right at the end now they're blowing up.
They're killing it.
Yeah, they're 600%. 600% ahead of where their business plan was. So that's
good for them.
Yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
So it's like numerous things that you guys are doing. We're going to go into like a little bit on the mission. Now, I pulled this from the website. North Park Main Street has a clear mission focusing on the arts, culture, and supporting local businesses. And you touched on this a little bit, but how do you see this mission coming to life in North Park? Perhaps exemplified by events like the music festival.
Sure. We try to do a great job of making sure that we promote arts and history throughout, because we have to balance that. That's something that's the other thing that you didn't read that's really important to our mission is really making a walkable community. So that's something that things like the music festival are a great example of, promoting arts, promoting a walkability, because we section off an entire 4 blocks of an area of North Park, and then we put on a giant festival that, last year was rated the number 2 music festival in San Diego County, which is fantastic, because it's really the whole third year.
It really should have been number 1.
I agree with you. I agree. But that shows you, and then I think we're really excited as we're getting forward to 2024.
Yeah.
We may be having a amazing, really a San Diego really icon of a band that'll be coming to be the headliner. 25th anniversary reunion concert.
Let's not spoil it now.
I'm not.
The teaser out
but
there.
we haven't signed it.
Not inked yet.
Signed it yet.
Okay.
So, but
this is the third annual, and making some huge strides there.
Yeah. But it's really, we don't want people. We make the ability so people can drive into the community, but we really try to focus on the parking garages that we have here, so people can get there, walk, and plus we, your gym, bike valet. That's exactly right. All those things that we're trying to make this really, we're blessed with so many things that are happening in this community, and we're planning on kicking off the shuttle system for the music festival. So
that's
that'll
already
be
happening.
Yeah,
that's
so
wonderful.
We're coming as well. So those are all things that we try to do that micro mobility all the way from your feet to bikes to shuttles.
And so on that topic, what are some of the most effective ways that you've found to engage the local community in Main Street's initiatives? A lot of this rides on volunteerism, and this podcast particularly has a focus on how to be involved and what it means. Sometimes when people hear the word volunteer, it's just like numb. You're like, well, for what? Like, what am I about? And I think as we start to realize more and more about how each one of those, each of the efforts of each individual person can be involved, it allows for this thing that may be taken for granted by a lot of these people that do want to volunteer. They start to realize, at least my story is that I started to realize that everyone can help promote it forward. So what have you seen on how to engage people in that way?
What really, I think the thing that I have found that creates the most synergy for getting people involved in North Park through volunteerism and being on the board is really the business forums that we've actually put together, which are 4 different. What we do, we've split inside our business improvement district. We've kind of divided it into 4 different geographic zones, and we reach out to each one of those areas, and we go into those areas and walk with all of the businesses that are around there and say, hey, look, this is what's coming to you. We want you to be involved. And this has really helped us to establish a whole new volunteer. There's a whole group of people that the Texas X's are a great, funny name, but really it's the Alumni Association of Texas. That's kind of how we found those people. And his name is Guthrie Cook. And he has kind of opened up another door. But that was somebody who lived in North Park, who's running a business in North Park. And now we're able to tap into the volunteers, because what volunteers do is take my small staff and exponentially allow it to grow. You get from my 11-person staff to where when we were last year at North Park Music Festival, we had like 100 people that ended up doing it. And the same thing with Taste of North Park. So volunteers are the key to every nonprofit. And great thing about it, I used to run Surfrider, and we're going to be using them a lot for our music festival this year to help bring in some of those people. That's one of the preeminent organizations that knows how to use volunteers, Surfrider, because they're in many ways their budget's even smaller than mine, but they have a lot of ways.
Passionate core.
Yeah, exactly.
the role you're in, people look to you as really a leader of the North Park community in a lot of ways. So the question is, how do you manage the work-life balance? Because I feel like despite that being, you being doing such an amazing job in that role, I know you know, you'll get off to Costa Rica and do your surf trips. I mean, like, how do you
went surfing this morning.
Do you have that at the forefront of your mind, or is it just a way of life at this point?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into the way my mind thinks. So I have delineated my day into where I know I am the most effective, and I give that to North Park. I say 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock is I'm on. There are very few people who have enough energy during that time frame so I need to make sure that every minute of that I am delineated to making sure that those
we're tapping into that right now.
I know. So North Park gets that time frame.
Okay.
Now I need that a little time in the morning to charge up my battery, and I need a little bit in the afternoon before like 5 o'clock to get my battery recharged. And then about 6 o'clock I come back on for North Park, and then that's when a lot of the times where I'm really answering the emails of the board. So those are the times when I'm like taking the time to and
it's a natural rhythm for you, so you just optimize it.
I totally do. And it's important. And I also know that, you know, I look at my life as I need to have things for me.
Yeah.
When I was a council member, I didn't do that. I gave everything all 24 hours a day and that burns you out and doesn't make you effective. It makes you less effective.
Right.
Now, two, I am extremely lucky that the people that we have been able to assemble at the staff of North Park is pretty freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. We give a shout out to Will Baker.
Will Slate.
Will Slate
got married.
Will Slate.
Yeah.
And even, you know, we've created some new positions. Our community engagement coordinator, Sandra Torres, she's doing great.
Yeah.
She's young. So
she was behind that whole women's event.
She was.
Business owners that went
and
really
I think
well.
That's another thing that I look at, and I look at quality. So when I'm looking at the work that I'm getting from certain people, like when I look at Will's work, I know I'm getting 100%.
Yeah.
When I look at Sandra's work, it's not going to be where Will's work's going to be. But based on her ability to perform and Will's ability to perform, it gives me a exponential growth of way they can work, because I can say, all right, sure, I'm not getting exactly what Will would do out of her, but I'm getting 60% of what it is, and it still exponentially grows. Because Will, Jim knows this, but I call him my Labrador. He is very hard to say no to things, and I think it's something that I'm trying to teach him how to. And he actually did it to me this morning. He said, "Well, I don't think we should do it that way," and I was like, "But it was. He was exactly right." But the reality is that it's. And I'm doing that a lot with, you know, the maintenance team at North Park, which is most of the team in North Park. They had kind of felt like they were underappreciated. So I've really taken a time. I meet with them weekly to really talk about their issues and really talk about the things. And they do a fantastic job. But their quality is even a little bit lower than Sandra's. But I'm looking at that as quality is 100% of North Park. You feel and you're getting a good result. Well, that's where I gauge my quality is. All right, I'm getting 100% out of my team, but each one of their levels that I think, which is probably less, all combines to make one. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because it's about how they grow and how they work with each other and
oh my God, it's totally
they're led as well, right? So then let's talk a little bit about your why. I like to incorporate this in each of the episodes here, because ultimately, you know, when things aren't going well, and you're like, then you end up asking yourself, why am I doing this, right? So why? Like what is your why? What keeps you motivated in the role? I mean, you kind of already discussed it a little bit, but you love the community. But why this particular thing that you choose to do every day, right?
So I'm an easily defined introverted extrovert. So I really enjoy my time by myself. I like to read. I do those things, but I I need interaction from people to keep my life going. So I know that if I give my best to North Park, I'm going to receive back positive feedback from people. So that helps feed my productivity and feed my feeling of being. I have a much bigger feeling that we are a community, but I do believe that we are a community working on better things for the world.
Yeah.
So I always feel like, how can I accomplish something it may be only happening here, but this is a bigger picture towards the future. For instance, like when I remodeled the 1918 home, which you guys, I know you're real estate guys, you love this, but I took my house down to the studs, tore out all the electrical, and there's no gas in it. It's completely self-sustaining, and it's this old home in North Park.
Wow.
I mean, in Sunset Cliffs now, but those are the things. I know that my impact that I did with that allowed it to be a global impact, and that's what I do in North Park is I know that I need to interact with people to make sure that they're happy, and then that gives my why.
Yeah, the little conversations.
So think globally, act locally.
Totally.
Ooh,
totally,
nice.
100%.
All right.
Way to wrap it up there.
So let's talk about some challenges and some wins as well. So can you share a particularly challenging moment or a project at Main Street and how you navigated it, or perhaps how does planning something like the music festival compare, to something like that? Because I think that could be one and the same.
We've had a couple wins.
Maybe
and
that is
later.
maybe that is the.
I mean, I do believe. I think the biggest challenge that I've had with overall is when I got the results that we were the number 2 festival in the county. No one knew this, but I was not happy about that. I was like, Megan was like,
I'm sitting here like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like it's brand new.
I was not happy about that at all because Megan tells me you don't like to finish second, and it's true, but.
And Megan is
my wife.
Okay.
My wife of 24 years. We just celebrated.
Very gratefully had the pleasure.
You just had your anniversary last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
I remember last year you went to
St.
Corey.
Patrick's Day. Yeah.
Right,
So we've had a fantastic ride, and I can't believe it. But so I was talking.
She knew.
Yeah, she knew. She knew because you have your life partner that you talk about all your wins and losses. So that was something that I was like, all right, we've got to focus on getting through this and making it better. And I think we've laid the foundation. I really stripped down the budget to put on a music festival like this. People don't realize that's $200,000 that is invested in the overall just to get it done. It's a big investment.
It's huge.
Yeah. So you don't really even think about those things until you see it. And the first year we did it, I have to admit, it was more of just reacting to it. But this year I feel like we've laid out a better plan.
Yeah.
We did take a major hit. We didn't get a World Design Center grant that we expected, but I do think that it allowed me to really, how do we pivot and how do we make those, how do we take that shortfall that we didn't get from the grant and make it a possibility?
Yeah.
And I think we've got a pretty good plan. I've been working with a lot of the, thank God that I think Milton's one of our marketing people that doing a good PowerPoint will help me get to the next level. So
the guy's got a keen eye for design. And
totally.
Every time I talk to him, I just feel like, wow, what is he gonna say? Like everything that comes out of his mouth is so like, just
But that's something that I'm really lucky to. North Park Main Street is driven by a really passionate group of board members. And we've got some great people. Jim, you are one of my favorites. You know that. Although Jim's seen both sides of Mark. Jim's seen Navy Mark.
Jim's got this little brotherly vibe going on with you. I think as of late, I like it. It's healthy. It's organic.
Yeah, it is. It is. But he's seen I can be a little challenging too. But the reality is that the board helps me maintain a focus of trying to think long term and trying to think above the fray, and they do a good job. And I think we have a great group, and we're right in the middle of elections. We should have 16 more people coming on at the end of the month. So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with rapid fire. I got a couple more questions, but then we're gonna wrap it up here. future visions. So looking ahead, what are some aspirations you have for Main Street, and are there any upcoming projects that you're particularly excited about outside of the music festival that we?
Oh my God, I am stoked beyond belief for the shuttle.
The shuttle, yeah, and that is just quickly nutshell is.
Yeah, so it's a $1.5 million grant that we received from the Clean Mobility Option, which is a portion of this state funding.
Okay.
So it's going to bring what's called a micro mobility NEV, neighborhood electric vehicle, to North Park and City Heights.
So it's taking the sprawl that is 30th Street or University or the surrounding area and basically smashing it together. You can just jump on, boom,
yep.
go. Okay.
It's going to be an app-based system.
So great.
And the other thing, too, that I think is great is that it's really tackling two things that are super important. One is last mile. How does that person, it's easy to say that our buses work, but how does that person who's limited in their mobility get from the middle of their neighborhood all the way to university? And this NEV will do that.
Right.
And two, it really tackles the highway bifurcation that is really a major issue that happened between North Park and City Heights.
Yeah.
Back 50 years ago, this was called mid-cities.
All the same.
Mid-cities areas. And those are really things that we're really excited. We're partnering with City Heights CDC, which her group is awesome. And I think that's one of the things. And then the next thing I'm really excited about is we're really working towards bringing on what's called the Best of North Park for 2025.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So we're really hoping to shut down Ray Street, put some really nice tables out there, get some of our good restaurants, and then do some awards for our community.
This one. So, and I think, at least personally, I think you're known for having a great sense of humor. Okay, so
are you sure?
Do you realize that? And does it play into your leadership style, or do you acknowledge it, or are you just being you?
There is. I'm never not being Mark.
Okay, good.
I'm always being as honest as I can with myself, and humor comes. It was something I grew up around.
Not taking life too seriously.
Yeah, my mom. I could tell you a story. So I remember we were in a King Soopers in a grocery store in Denver, and my mom used to we'd come into the grocery store, and my mom would be like, "All right, go find stuff to do," and she'd go shop. Back when you could do that. And she came around the corner one day, and I had actually in the chip aisle, I had taken a Campbell's soup can. And I had pulled down all these chips, and I was literally smashing the chips the can. Just I had 50 bags in the middle of the aisle. Can you imagine if your child did that? And my mom, I remember looking up at her, and she looked up at me, and she just turned around and left.
She's like she didn't know.
She's like, don't know that
kid.
and then I hear on the it was typical for my mom to when she was done, she would go to the front and could you ask for Mark West to come to the front? And I hear, Mark West, please come to them. I just got up and walked away and left all the
clean up in aisle 5.
Then we left, and my mom was, oh my God, she definitely made sure that I was disciplined painfully at my expense, but I
bet she had to leave because she was just laughing.
I don't even think she got her groceries. I don't remember. That's something I don't remember. But the thing is that the reality is that I try not to take myself too seriously.
Yeah.
But I have a serious side.
Oh, you have to. You can't get anything done if you don't keep things at least organized and.
Oh, definitely.
But as a leadership style, I think. From what I can see, I think it's a great quality, and there could be an argument made that it's all business, it's all serious, but I just feel like when it comes to your balance of your live work and what we're all about here, it's kind of a necessity
for sure.
Right? So
for sure.
Thanks for sharing.
What was your rank, by the way, in the Navy when you came out?
Commander.
That's what I thought. Commander in the Navy.
Yep.
So you got to have a serious side to
I do have
lead.
a serious. I mean, I have been shot at in combat. I mean, I literally have been ducked from bullets type of thing. So there are times when the seriousness, and you've kind of seen it, Jim. I mean, I can be very
when necessary.
When necessary, but most of the time it's not. It is. I feel like if I need to do and be serious, there's got to be a real reason behind it. So
yeah.
I try and
And this one's for our listeners who are inspired to get more involved in their own communities, if it's not North Park, or if it is, namely to North Park. What advice would you give them to just, if they're like, where do I start? What I want to do something. What do you do?
First of all, I would suggest to people to seek out like minds. And what I mean by that is to always find those people that share your same vision and see your same ideals, to make sure, because even if you live in a community that isn't blessed with a place like North Park Main Street, about 10 people, even 5 people, all unified together can really make a very big, lasting impact on your community. Yeah. And you don't need something like North Park Main Street to do that. Mm-hmm. But if you do live in a community, I would always seek out and you can say go to website, but any website of your community to look at. But I would also say that if you're going to the restaurants and you're going to socialize at all those different places, they open up doors that you don't know that you are available in many ways. Mm-hmm. And then volunteerism is super important. Right. I really believe that, studies have shown beyond a doubt that if you volunteer in your community and give back to it, you will feel way better about your life overall. Mm-hmm. And it's not just a community cleanup, which is a great way to
we do have one coming up here.
We do.
Freddie is actively recruiting people.
We
so
are.
Maybe you
we are.
Plug that.
Next month we will have a great cleanup that'll be happening here, and that's, to tell you the truth, that's how I got involved in North Park, was really a cleanup. I was complaining about picking up too much trash and reached out to our then council member, who was Tony Atkins at the time, who's running for governor now, and said, hey, I want to host this at my house. And she did. So those are ways to do it.
And for the introverts out there, just looking for, to volunteer, that doesn't mean you have to be out there like with a type A bubbly personality. It could be all kinds of different things, right?
And that's very true. My buddy runs a small nonprofit outdoor outreach. They use
I have a couple of friends that were pretty high up in that.
Yeah, they have a volunteer that runs their whole bookkeeping process. And same thing with Outdoor Alive here, which is an AIDS group that has one guy has been volunteering as their bookkeeper for like 40 years. And he used to be my neighbor on Kansas and Meade, and there's ways to do it. Take what you like to do and what you're good at, and figure out how to put it in your community. I think that's a great way to do it.
I'm good at growing mustaches, so I started volunteering for Movember.
Jim,
that's how actually I got to know almost all of these business owners. I was out there, I think it was 10 years ago, just knocking on, hey, can you guys want to donate some to the raffle? I kind of mix it in with Small Business Saturday, usually as around the same time, and that I swear it was like, I can't believe how many doors that opened up, and it was just all for a good cause.
It's fantastic.
And I was like, at the time, I didn't actually know anyone that had testicular cancer or had it affected by any of their missions. It was just literally, it was just kind of did it, and I just want to throw a big party. Yeah, and it was so cool, right?
The great thing about it is just something like this, Kyle. Something you guys are doing right here. This is a fantastic way to get information out to our community and make it sure. And you guys, by doing this, and the Kyle's World podcast. When you asked me, I was like, yeah, sure. But
there's a whole group of us behind this. But I'm just the one that's here, interviewing you. But
I think it's great because I think this is a great way to get information out and make people, comfortable on doing it. Because North Park is blessed with a ton of amazing leaders in it. Lynn Schultz from down at Art Produce, and Anchi at Make, and you guys as well.
They're doing amazing stuff.
Yeah,
how cool is that they ended up in the old Swamis, the old.
It's incredible. Yeah, great food.
Awesome cause. They're going to be there, and that
garden's amazing too.
Well, they're moving too. They've got a whole nother. They're going to have a whole farm out near SDSU, so it's going to be great. But that's great. So yeah.
Okay, final question. going to leave it with a fun one.
Okay.
As a surfer,
you
know a lot of surf spots. I know this. And if you could compare North Park to a surf spot, which one would it be and why?
Curveball.
No.
They've all got their little nuances and characteristics, right? I mean, geez, I don't surf really, but I hang out with plenty of them where I know every little word and detail of a wave or the type and the season and the blah blah blah. Is
So there is a place called Hospital. It's a break outside of La Jolla. Okay. It's a reef break, and it really works on a mid-tide and a west swell. And the reason why I would say that is because it's kind of grindy. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is it can jack up and really get pretty technical, right. And then you're ending on a rock shelf that is probably about 6 inches.
Wow!
So you kind of go flat. That's what you do. You go flat when you crash. But the reality is when you make this wave, and it's a left, and I'm a goofy footer, so lefts are my thing. When you make this left and you go all the way, it's perfect, it's long, it's hollow, it's like all those things. But it takes a little bit to really be, you got to commit yourself to it. And that's what North Park is about. You got to commit to make sure that it's better. And hospitals.
It pays off.
It pays off.
Watch the cracks in the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah. Watch the cracks in the sidewalk. And, that is, I can get into a whole nother podcast about that. But that's the wave, I would say.
I love it.
But overall, I would say all surfing in the blue mind mindset of being connected to the ocean allows me to really connect with this community and to really be, because I see what is so good about this community. You look at the old pictures of it and all the people who are committed to it, and it means a lot. It means a lot to everyone here, but it also means a lot that they're all wanting what's best for this community and all the North Park. Right. So I love it. It's a good feeling here, and
next time you're surfing Hospital, you're going to be thinking about.
I surfed it a couple weeks back, and it was perfect. But I was thinking I'll have to remember that forever.
Awesome. I love it that you put some thought into that. That's very insightful.
Yeah, well said.
And on the spot too. You didn't have any of these questions before we started.
I did not, which made it even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'd have known,
I think I even told you I purposely am not going to give you these questions.
Yeah.
Because anyway, this was a lot of fun.
I dig it.
Mark West, we're here on the Granada House podcast. I have Jim Sackerson. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Kyle.
And
thank you guys.
Thanks for all that you do, buddy. You've motivated somebody at least.